Hello everyone, I am Bunny, and today I have the distinct pleasure to speak with my good friend, the General Manager of Hedonism Resorts, Mr. David Graham. How you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I am amazing.
Excellent. Beautiful day.
Where else can you come and have the best vacation?
Well, you guys certainly know how to have a good time. That's for sure.
We bring the party.
You certainly do. It's never disappointing down at that nude pool seeing the Tom's Chips lot having a good time.
Nope, because we show you a good time.
Absolutely.
So David, can you give me a little background on your background?
So I've worked in the industry now for over 30 years. I started out, believe it or not, as a chef. I worked in a family restaurant of a friend of ours that we knew. And after that, he told me, do not go into being a chef. Come out of that, go and be a manager. So I went to university, did my degree in hospitality management. And then I first started working for Hilton.
Nice.
I worked for Hilton for a couple of years. And then I moved through the ranks and ended up being general manager of a hotel in the UK, working for Radisson Hotels. And after that, I went to work in sports catering for a while at Arsenal Football Club and Durham County Cricket Club as general manager of catering for that. And then after that, I went back to De Vere Hotels, as it was at the time, then Q Hotels, as general manager of a hotel near where I lived called Dunstan Hall Hotel. So it's a golfing resort property. So as I say to guests when they ask me about where I'm working and what the big differences is, I just say it's different bats and different balls.
There you go.
So I've gone from quite a different reserved type of property to Hedo, which is kind of bouncing off all the walls.
I was going to say, how do you even find a job at a specialty hotel like Hedonism?
Well, it was interesting. I've always wanted to work in the Caribbean, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this before I turn 50, because if I don't do it before I turn 50, I'm not going to do it. So I was online looking at what opportunities there were, and I came across Caribbean jobs, and I looked on their website, and at the time there were 3 opportunities. There was one in the Bahamas, one in Antigua, and Hedonism. So I applied for all 3, and it's notoriously difficult to get into the Caribbean when you've worked in the UK, because they're looking for previous experience in resort properties, previous experience in the Caribbean. So I applied for all of these jobs, and then I got a call from Hedonism. And of course, I'd already done some research. I went online, looked at TripAdvisor, looked at the property as a whole, looked at all the photographs that are available, did some research, and really tried to understand what the property was about. But of course, there's only so much you can see online. So I came for a job interview. I came out to Hedonism II and stayed for 3 nights in October of 2023. And I realized at the time that the process that they were going through is that they were inviting an awful lot of people out to have kind of a on-the-job interview. So the plan was to kind of spend some time at the property, get to know the team, get to know the management, get to know the structure, get to know the customers. So I spent 3 days on property just observing and asking questions and meeting the team, and it was really good. It was really fun, and I got to see what was going on. And I left here with quite a wide-eyed, oh my, this is an interesting place. And of course, when I went back to the UK and was talking to people about it, they were like, oh my God, yes, I've heard of Hedo. I've seen Hedo. I remember a time when Samantha Fox we did a thing from Hedo.
Yes.
And then there was a program in the UK called The Word, where they'd done some filming here years and years and years ago. And I don't recall ever having seen that, but I was talking to people about it, and they said, oh wow, that's a really good opportunity, really good. And Jamaica is a fantastic place. And the people are amazing in Jamaica. So it's a real good opportunity. So it was, from then, it wasn't a tough decision to accept the opportunity to come here. And it's been a fantastic experience, I have to say. It's a unique place.
Well, and that's the one thing is you said TripAdvisor. What you find as far as on TripAdvisor versus some of the other sites, it's not a true thing. Because on TripAdvisor, you might have somebody that came and was not happy, or they just don't give the correct feel of what the vibe of hedonism is all about. I
think with TripAdvisor, a lot of our feedback is generally about Kama Sutra Palace.
Okay.
You read a lot of feedback on Kama Sutra Palace, and really our guests would much prefer to give you their feedback one-on-one.
Absolutely.
And as you know, our guests are very private people, and they want to keep they don't really have a lot of online presence, so to speak. So, when I talk to guests, they give me their feedback direct, and that's really nice. We do get some TripAdvisor reviews, but it's not the numbers that I would see in the commercial properties that I've worked at in the UK, we may only get 2 or 3 a month. So we don't get a lot.
I see that.
But really, where we see the most engagement from our guests is online with TikTok and with Instagram, and that's where our guests get their impression. You see the video that Winston just did recently for Sinful Seductions, fantastic video, and Toussaint and the social media team, they just do some fantastic videos. You see the stuff for HSB, you see the stuff from previous other groups that we have here, and the videos are just incredible.
Oh, exactly. And the thing with hedonism, especially now versus 10 years ago, is the social media presence.
Yeah,
it's huge.
It is, and that's when we do our surveys through Guest Review, when we ask people how they hear about hedonism or what they see about hedonism, it's all about online. And people will watch those videos and the number of likes, the number of comments. It's fantastic. We overwhelmingly it's positive. And I can't think of a time when someone didn't agree with the concept of the video that we were putting out, or they had some negative feedback about it. Generally speaking, it's very, very well received. And whenever you put a video of Winston or you put a video of Diana out there, the feedback is always phenomenal.
Of course.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I was just talking to a couple this week, and they booked here because of videos that they've seen we do in Russia.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Yeah. And our reach is fantastic. It is incredible, the places that we see people coming from. I see guests coming from as far afield as Australia. And it always amazes me that people will travel all the way from Australia to be here, because it takes them nearly 3 days to get here.
Oh, it does.
I talk to guests when they're leaving on a Saturday. I say, when do you get home? Tuesday.
Right.
And you think, oh my God. And that's commitment.
I know. And so for us people in the US and Canada, when we're complaining that it's taking us 12 hours, nothing to complain about. So obviously you said that this was an eye-opening experience for you.
It absolutely has been. Overwhelmingly, the staff here are incredible, and I say to them time after time, I can't do my job without all 500 of them. Everyone does an incredible job, regardless of what role they're in. But equally, we have incredible customers. Our customers are so generous and so friendly, and they give fantastic feedback. They're very consistent in terms of what they like, what they don't like, and I like the fact that people aren't afraid to come and tell me. I walk around the resort, as you know, all the time. And it's nice to be stopped. And, whether that be good or negative feedback, I'll always take that feedback on board and listen to what people have to say, because we can't move forward if we don't know what our guests like and what they don't like. So it's important to listen to what people are saying. And I think, we will always act as where we can on those requests, and we will always try and do our best to accommodate those different ideas and those different requests. And people have ideas all the time, and everyone has some great ideas about what they'd like to see us do in the future. And we'll take those ideas and we'll discuss them in our meetings and come up with a plan as to what is best for the resort going forward. We have limited resources to do.
Right.
We can't do everything.
Right.
So you try and pick the best things that are going to have the biggest impact. And that's what we'll always carry on doing. We'll always try and do that. And then, of course, you'll always get a situation in the middle of it all, such as Hurricane Melissa, which will then put all those plans on hold while we put the place back together. And, that was a challenge, but we've come through that, and we can see that we're definitely on the road to recovery.
In one of the things, we're going to touch on Hurricane Melissa. One of the things is a lot of the people don't realize that we are right in the middle of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So when Hurricane Melissa hits, they don't realize how small things are that you can't get here. For instance, bananas.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
just brought back bananas yesterday, and it's such a banana is a vital fruit right here.
Absolutely.
And you can't get it, and people don't understand. They're like, well, why can't they just go to the store and buy them?
I was in the supermarket on Wednesday, and I saw that they had bananas. And that's the first time I've seen them in the supermarket since October. Mm-hmm. And that is you might think that's a small thing, but guess here, one of the best-selling cocktails here is a dirty banana.
Oh,
everybody loves a dirty banana, and it does not taste the same with banana liqueur.
No.
So now that we are seeing bananas come back, that will be a big thing for people. It's like the pizza oven. The pizza oven, when we had the issue with that, getting the parts for the pizza oven was so hard. And in the end, we got them shipped to a guest who was coming over, and they brought them in, and it was a huge celebration. And now we have the pizza oven going again, and that is such a big thing. And it's those little things that make a difference and people haven't been able to have a pizza at midnight down at the new pool. People love that. That's such a unique and unusual thing, but people just love it.
I crack up when I'm going through social media and they're like, well, what's one thing you have to do? And everybody's like, you have to have pizza at midnight.
And I have never experienced pizza at midnight because I don't spend my time at the nude pool at midnight, but I have had pizza in the dining room, and I can attest to the fact that the pizza tastes good.
Right. And it is, you talk about your staff. Your staff is absolutely amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I just cannot say enough good things. From the laundry, maintenance, to the bartenders. They all, when you walk by them, it's all, how are you, man?
Yeah.
Having a good day. And it's just incredible.
They are a great bunch, and, they work incredibly hard. I see them obviously on a daily basis, and I see the feedback that I get from the guests. And it is, when you read the feedback from the guests, they are very genuine, really, really pleased with what they've heard, what they've seen, what the staff have done for them. And it is across the board. Of course, we get a lot of feedback about the entertainment staff individually, but of course, the housekeepers get mentioned. Of course, the chefs get mentioned. Of course, when a member of staff comes into contact with a guest and they do something memorable for them, then the guest will point that out and the guest will highlight that. And that's really nice to see. And when you tell the member of staff that they've been had a comment made about them, or they've had some specific feedback, their faces just light up and they're really pleased to get that feedback. So I spend some of the time when I'm walking around, I'll give the individuals the feedback if I've read something.
Oh, that's great.
So if I walk around, I'll tell them, I saw a comment about you. Thank you very much for that. The guests really appreciated it.
And that takes a long way too, because now they're like, oh my gosh, they think I'm doing a good job. So it helps to make them do even better.
The staff at the new pool can get quite competitive. So if I go down and say, oh, you've had a comment today, and then the others will be saying, oh, well, I'm going to get one today. So they can get quite competitive about that.
Well, that's great. So can I say that the staff here is one of your favorite things about
absolutely.
Working here?
Absolutely. I would say there's a lot of things that are nice about working here. We have a great owner, and he is very, very generous with our team, and the whole family are very, very generous with how they are with the staff and how we are with the resort. We want to do the best for our guests. Our guests are very, very important. We can't, we need our guests to come back time after time after time, and the guests come back to see the staff. I often hear, why do you keep coming back here? Oh, we come back because of the way the staff are with us, and we come back to see certain members of staff, and that is incredible. And you don't get that in other hotels.
I was going to say, in a lot of the high end, not even high end hotels, even the Hiltons or things like that, you don't see the respect from the management down to the employees, and that is the biggest thing. If you are managing with respect, then your staff is really going to give a lot more for you.
And our staff will go the extra mile for our guests. I had a guest just on Monday telling me that a chef down at the Prude Grill, we'd taken there was no fish on the menu, so the guest had mentioned it to the chef behind the stove. She said, next time you come in, I'll make sure that I've got some fish for you. And then every day that guest went in the week, she made sure that she had some fish for that specific guest, and she cooked it that way. And that's just a small thing, but that made it for that guest. She was so pleased.
It was the same thing for me.
Yeah.
You have a morning in the buffet, and I am gluten-free.
Yeah.
And she has been reserving 2 gluten-free pancakes, keeping them nice and warm for me.
Fantastic.
And it's been absolutely amazing, because I'm not getting up there at 7:30, 8 o'clock when they're fresh. So she's making sure to have fresh ones. And that's just the little things that people do, and the staff does it, and make people feel comfortable.
Yeah, that does make a real difference. And that makes me very proud that they do that. And that level of service is why people keep coming back.
100% agree. Okay, so is there any little secrets or anything that you can let us know as a future vision for hedonism?
Well, as you know, we started refurbishing the spa block. We like to continue doing that, and that's something that we'll be looking at for next year. As you know, August is our downtime, and the occupancies are generally pretty low. So over that time, we'll be spending some time doing some painting and decorating around the business to brighten the hotel up. As for future plans, I guess you saw that we've just launched the new glass bottom boat. which
beautiful.
we're hoping to start using on a regular basis. And I saw that it's been going out doing the snorkeling trips, which is great. And the plan is that we'll be using that for private events, so people can book it for private dinners and private,
nice.
and we may do some evening sailings out there for people to experience an evening out on the water, which is quite a nice thing to do. And then we'll carry on with looking at the product and seeing what we can do to enhance the product. There's lots of suggestions as to what we need to do with the nude pool and various things like that. And I think in the future that we do need to look at the nude pool and how we can enhance that. You never want to have to close that down to do any work, because of course that's one of the main reasons that people like to come here. So again, that's going to take a lot of logistics as to work out how we would do some work down there. But we do have a thought process as to how we would do that. We would like to enhance the evening option in terms of nightclub and that sort of area.
Oh, yeah.
There's also plans to look at how we do the playroom, and we would like to try and enhance and you can already see that we've done some work in the playroom to enhance the offering there. But again, I think the request has been for that area to be much bigger. So we're looking at how we can do that without really affecting the operation as it is. So there's lots of things that we would like to do, but of course resources and time.
Well, and the fact is, like Melissa came rolling through here, and that just kind of sets the whole timeline back a little bit.
Unfortunately, you never know the unknown, and then something that will come along and surprise you. But we have a plan in place that we'd like to try and follow, and provided that we don't get another hurricane coming through, then we'll start to see some more improvements coming through.
I'll tell you, just from us. So, I mean, we're here 3 months out of the year, and it is spaced out. But even this time, we were only gone a month. And we come back and there's already different changes. Yeah. So for people that only come once, maybe twice a year, it's Absolutely. A big thing when they can see something new.
Absolutely. And you can certainly see that we, since the new exec chef started and since we had the new pastry chef started, that there's been some big improvements in terms of the menus, offerings, and certainly the pastry section. You saw the changes that we've made at the coffee bar.
Yes.
And I think they've been very well received. So, we will carry on seeing those changes throughout. And you never know, one of these days we might introduce a new restaurant. You never know.
Hey, you never know.
One of those things you would like to do, but it's the logistics of finding the space, finding the area that we can to introduce that. But I think at some stage that would be something that I would like to see us do.
We just ran through the video, and I always try to tell everybody it's not that large of a resort. It is 22 acres. But when you start touching on every little thing that there is here at Hedonism, it is quite large.
Absolutely. There are a lot of things that parts of the resort where people just don't go, and they don't really know about them.
Right.
And we don't really jump up and down and talk about them as much as perhaps we should. But there's a lot of space here, and there's a lot of places for people to go and spend time and relax. 22 acres might not seem much, but when you're walking it 3 times a day, that's a lot of steps.
Yes, and most people the first time here, they're going to the pool and back, or to the beach and back. They're not really seeing the other finer things like the wine bar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Where we're sat right now is an underutilized space, and I've spent some time in here. I like a glass of wine, but it's an area of the business that people perhaps don't come and see as often as we would expect.
And it's beautiful, and it's a great place to just sit and relax and enjoy a great bottle of wine.
Yeah, absolutely. Or a nice bottle of bourbon, as we have right here.
Absolutely. Should we crack it open?
Sure. Let's get going.
Tom, where's your credit card? All right, David, it's been a great afternoon. Thank you so much for your hospitality. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.